Hey everyone, Connor here. We just want to take a moment to thank you so very much for tuning in and being a part of the Decon Chamber family. Your support keeps us going, and we couldn't do this without you.
And if you love what we do and want to help us even more, please consider joining us on Patreon. You'll get exclusive perks, behind-the-scenes content, and even opportunities to chat with us directly.
And don't forget to check out our awesome merch, because who doesn't want to rep their favorite podcast in style, baby?
Every little bit helps, I promise you. And we're really very, very grateful for all of you who make this show possible. So thanks for being there. And please enjoy this episode of the Decon Chamber.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Trekkies and Trekkers, welcome back to another watch party episode of the Decon Chamber. I'm with my best friend and
In America.
In America, that's right. You got other friends. And castmate Dominic Keating. I'm proud to be his best friend in America. He has traveled the world extensively.
Yeah. He met some of the other best friends.
That's right. I have. Today we're going to be watching the episode Unexpected, directed by Mike Vehar, who directed several of our episodes. This is the first time we worked with him, and really, he's a very unique director, and we'll get into that. And Julianne Christie, who plays Alen, fabulously in the episode, is highlighted, and for me at least, it was the first episode where it was like tying out at the end of the rope, kid, because you got one.
Yeah, this was a great episode for you. Not least, I love the comedy of it, and you really hit the notes. And
thank you.
It's really, and it starts off so beautifully with the gravity plating going out on E deck, and
right.
Scott's taking a shower, of course.
Right, and then Jolene gets sludge for her soda water.
Yeah, and things are going wrong, and as we find out, we are being not hijacked, but someone's hitching a ride in our plasma exhaust.
We're being drafted by a ship.
Yeah, and I do love those moments in TV shows when they go, freeze, go in tighter.
Right.
It's CSI. It's you name it. Exactly. Any one of those medical shows, and all of a sudden there's the ship.
That's right. Of course. So just sort of an overall, before we sort of get into the steps of the episode, it kind of felt like some kind of like groovy 70s party den, the way that everybody was costumed, and their they had sort of shimmery scales, and and the whole vibe of it was, and they're not dangerous. They're just
they're
trying to keep themselves
peace-loving
going.
people, as it were, and
peace, love, and
peace,
baby.
love, rock and roll, and there should have been spa music throughout.
Truly.
So you're sent across to go and help them with their engineering issues, and get them off our backs, as it were, which is causing all sorts of trouble on our ship.
Right.
And and then you meet the wonderful Arlen, who's their engineer, and beautifully played.
Not only that, I mean, to be able to, with all of that makeup and prosthetic, and
there must have been. You look at it, it's like, I did the Sulu band, that was bad enough, but that looked like it was just
awful.
Encased. Yeah, really.
I never actually saw her until.
Did you never?
Until we did the other iteration.
Right, and she came on. Yeah, we met her. And she's a lovely lady. What a great,
what a lovely person. Yeah,
and she's moved back up to Canada now, and I think she works fairly extensively up there. And she's got all sorts of projects going on. And I think she was directing plays, if I remember rightly. But really, a lovely lady. And she, right after that episode, I remember her saying in the time we met her that it inspired her to go off and be a single mother.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think she did it, the sort of biological way, as it were,
Yeah,
through insemination, as it were, not, not
right,
the normal route. She just was like, I want to be a mum.
right.
And it was that episode, oddly enough,
Yeah, well,
that made her think time's a wasting.
you're
Yeah,
welcome.
you're welcome. Those pebbles, man,
That's right. That's right.
they were
Um,
they were
and
groovy.
and interestingly, the director Mike Vehar, he came from editing,
Hmm.
and he always had this because we did several episodes with him.
Hmm.
He always had a three-ring binder, and in that three-ring binder, he had literally cut the show before he shot it.
Right.
So really quickly, and again, we're four episodes in, and I'm still trying to like. I think, listen, anytime you're being asked to cut a scene in half just because they don't need the rest of it
Mm.
isn't really fair to the actor because you don't learn a scene and then truncate it based
No,
on
you haven't had the
that
time.
responsibility.
You could maybe do that having rehearsed the play for 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
Or even, in movies, they shoot a page, maybe a page and a half a day. And isn't that amazing when you think about that? Even
Yeah.
even today, that
Yeah.
a 2 day page day on a movie is a big day. I mean, can you imagine the luxury of that?
No.
Um, Amazing. Yeah. So yeah, no, it's if you're not completely conversant with the 4 page, 3 page scene, and it's got chunks of dialogue, 5 lines deep. Yeah, to just jump in somewhere
Right.
is not easy. Yeah.
And I remember, because of course we shoot out of order, that we didn't shoot the early scene where Trip is, trying to help facilitate working on the problem with their engine.
Yeah.
He would say, I just need these four lines. And I would say, but Mike, what do you mean? I've got to get up to that point and I've got to get past that point for the only merely the consistency of my own work.
Hmm.
I didn't want to just jump in and say these four lines. And I said, can I do the whole thing? And he said, well, yeah, sure, of
Yeah,
course.
yeah, yeah.
You're a
If you want to
regular.
waste my time,
You want to waste my time.
we'll have to go to Grace for
Right.
lunch. You know.
And that I'm sure that happened a few times, but I was like, listen, man, I mean, I get what you need, but you also have to understand what I need in
Yeah.
terms of being able to do a scene.
And
And
those scenes, I remember, I mean, having seen it now, they were in some ways complicated because you were under duress from
yeah,
their environment, and you had to sort of, you were fuzzy headed and constantly coming back to the captain, going, "I think you need to
get me
get
out
me
of
out
here.
of here,
Get me out of here. Yeah.
get me out of here." And yeah, I can imagine that was quite taxing. Um, to have him, just to do these 4 lines. I mean, is it the TV director? I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe some actors can do it. And once you get, look, it was our fourth episode.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was coming in like, we'd been a cast for 3 years, and yeah,
Well, I
which,
think also, there are other directors work differently. Other directors would, ask, well, what do you need to do the scene?
mm,
And Mike's MO was, here's what I need for the scene.
hmm
That's all you have to do. And I found myself working with him this way from that point forward, which was like, it's going to take a whole another minute for us to just get through the scene. Can I just
right.
get through the scene? And he was open to that, but he was like, he knew he knew how the show was going to look before he ever shot,
Yeah,
which
it's
is quite a
a real,
gift.
it's a real talent. I mean,
Yeah,
and yeah, it certainly saves time, and and look, it wasn't his first rodeo with shooting Star Trek either. So
right.
he come from an editing background and having shot several shows before us. Yeah. That comment about it only being our fourth episode and us, having said there were a lot of scenes where it looked like we had been a cast that had been together for 4 years already, and
Yeah,
I thought there was a nice fluidity. If I blow our trumpet, that lovely messel scene we have when you get
yeah.
back from the ship was really like, they were like two old buddies having breakfast together
And I kept eating and
and
eating.
eating. And I know, I was thinking of that. It's one of the toughest things you'll ever do is an eating
Oh
scene.
my God.
I know. He
Oh
must
my God.
allow some scrambled eggs. Yeah, but it was a really nice scene, and it had all the invocation of, it being slightly sort of not smutty, but sultry, and
Oh yeah, that's coming from you.
yeah.
Definitely.
And it was like it was well played, if I
Yeah, it
say so
was.
myself. And yeah, it had a lot of humor. It wasn't wink, wink, nod, nod, but it had that nice, I don't know, tone of it.
The underlying tone of it that
Yeah.
was
The
that
whole
was
episode did. I mean, even with Scott in the shower at the beginning, and I hope it didn't cause you any inconvenience, Sir Lonk.
yeah, right.
It was
Yeah.
well written. I mean, in that respect, it had a great tone and a tonality throughout.
And written by Rick and Brennan.
Rick and Brannon, yeah,
Yeah.
bless them. Yeah, and yeah, Julianne she played it again with that scene you have when you play the game in the rowboat and the holographic how do we say that,
The
in the
hologram?
hologram studio,
Yeah.
yeah, it was really beautifully done. And yeah, so you held that camera nicely, you find me attractive.
Right. Yeah.
You like to
And
have
also,
people find you
that
attractive.
the scene before that when he's sitting there sort of recovering and she's handing him what you think are like pieces of ice.
Water, yeah.
In reality, it was um, unflavored Jello,
Really? There's
which
such
was
a thing.
yeah, it's just gelatin.
Right. All right.
It was terrible.
Uh,
And then is it that scene where I discovered when they're because they also have organics growing within
mhm.
their ship.
They just
And
pick it off the wall, don't they?
yeah,
Yeah.
and all that was just raw broccoli.
I'd have been in heaven.
Yeah, right.
Do you have any ranch?
But also, all those scenes, like the scene on the boat where he finally gets pregnant. Um, the reality of that scene, as lovely as it was to watch, the reality of that scene was there were four guys rocking.
Okay.
There was a
Making the boat
green
look like it was
behind us.
floating.
We
Right.
had no idea what this even was going to look like.
Right. Right. Was it a blue screen or yeah, I
Yeah,
guess so.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And you had because I think actually I think that that was B Unit for some reason. It maybe happened at the end of the episode, and
Was it?
Dougie directed that.
Doggy did it. No shit.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow, that's a big scene to give off to B Unit
right.
because
Right.
yeah, that's it's an integral part of the story, that bit. He
Yeah,
shot it
right.
beautifully.
He did.
I yeah. He went in close on both of you just when it needed to go in close, and good coverage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's something also that um Star Trek doesn't do often, which are real intimate scenes. And that was one of them.
Yeah, there's a beautiful episode between Bob Picardo and Seven of Nine, an episode where he is just fallen head over heels for her, and it's unrequited. She doesn't even really know, I think. I forget what the episode's called. But there's a couple of beautiful moments that Bob has, and he just nails them. Where your heart just breaks for this, holographic doctor.
Right.
And it's yeah, it is often as not they can be. And I actually I want to put the episode on last night to look at it in prep. I was wondering how if it had dated itself rather than, poorly, whether there were any jokes about, transgendered, stuff, or that I because sometimes our show can, given that it was a bit of a boys' club,
Right. What did you
it
think?
can it could, but it stands up well.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
There were no sort of embarrassing moments, and
Right.
the doctors, telling you the news that whether it's good or bad, but you're pregnant.
We're pregnant, kiddo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
And then you slide out of the MRI
yeah.
cock first.
I swear to God, I saw that. I saw that
Well,
scene,
I now know it's a cup.
and I was like, "Come on, man! It's a dance belt.
Honestly,
It's it all right there." I
we were
was
all
like,
mightily jealous.
"Oh my God!" The funny
Uh,
thing about that
Here it
scene,
comes.
yeah,
Step away,
Connor,
step
Connor's
aside.
coming after it. Um, the funny thing about scene, it was a lesson I learned very well that so when he has that scene with DePaul, Archer, and the doctor,
Yeah, that's a great scene.
and she's like,
Yeah,
"Really?
3 days.
3 days?" What had happened is that they did everybody's coverage,
Mm.
mine, and then we cut for lunch.
So you got to pick it up.
We had to pick up my stuff. So
Yeah, right.
and during the whole coverage, everything was great.
All right.
We come back from lunch,
You're a bit sort of.
all my blood's in my stomach. It's not my brain. And I had the worst time for the first time and not the last, mind you, the worst time getting through that scene. And by the time we got through that scene, I went back to my trailer and pulled like a DiCaprio in
Did you?
oh my God.
In Hollywood's
I went
story.
into yeah, when I went into my trailer and I was like, what? I mean, throwing stuff, and I was like, oh, you knew this, man. You already did it for this for everybody else. Why couldn't you do it when it
Oh,
was on you?
it's a lonely time for an actor, that, isn't it?
Oh,
Oh, you do.
it's
You're off
true.
camera and you give the performance of a lifetime. And the minute that black box turns around to stare at you, you're like,
Yeah. And also when you lose that momentum
yeah.
of what you're doing together, it's like we're turning around, we're turning around, we're turning around, your turn, your turn, your
Mm.
turn. And then they're like lunch. And I came
Yeah.
back. There were a couple of moments that were just impossible for me to get. I eventually did, obviously, but
You
man,
did because you nailed them. You nailed them. I mean, some of the one looks you have between the captain and T'Pol are just beautiful. And
I really think some of those looks were like,
I
um,
think, but in some ways, maybe yeah, exactly. The actual sort of slump of lunch helped in some
right.
respects.
Yeah,
Um, and John's so good in it too. He plays it beautifully. He's
it
just got
does.
the right. He hits the beats very well.
Yeah. And as I
Um,
remember, and I could be wrong about this, but all those moments in the episode where Trip starts saying things about, concern for his baby,
mhm.
uh,
Yeah,
that
the elevator. Do they ever use that elevator any other time in the show? They
maybe
must have
one more
spent a
time.
fortune on that.
Yeah. And you could even tell in the beginning, it's like going,
Yeah.
and then it goes,
To people.
yeah,
It
come
was
on.
actually, it was, piston.
Yeah,
It was proper.
right,
Yeah, but
right,
it's a very funny moment. Look at this. Look at this.
right. But in all of those scenes, I felt like we hadn't quite got the notion of what it again. My apologies to anybody who's been actually pregnant. What it would be like.
Mm.
we did some embellishing on that because I thought it was important. Like the amount of food that he eats at the
Mm.
in the dining with when in the captain's mess, and
Hmm.
um, I
Spaghetti,
thought
spaghetti. What is it?
it was chicken
chicken
fricassee, chicken fricassee,
fricassee.
fricassee.
It looked as Sarah, my fiance, loved it so much. She looked it up. She said she's going to make that sometime before the week.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Um,
but yeah, that was important to me to in any way that I could accent what had been written in a more, I guess, I don't know, profound way. I say this all with knowing what happens, what's required to have a baby, and I've not.
mm,
But I think that we did a good job at showing. By the way, I think that Scott and I are the only two males to have been pregnant at that time on television.
right.
Because I think he'd been pregnant on Quantum Leap, and then
Yes, that's Chelsea's daughter. That was way back with his first wife.
yeah,
And then yeah, and I think no, I think Chelsea is it's strange. He's got a daughter called Chelsea, and then he married his second wife's called Chelsea, but he supports West Bromwich Albion, as we have since cleared up. Make of that what you will.
sure.
Actually, it's because his mother-in-law, God bless her, Barbara, who's passed away now. She was there. They originally came from West Brom, the West Midlands, quite near
Where is
where
that?
Right, it's near Birmingham. It's where I grew up.
Okay.
It's the West Country. They went through Canada first, I think you remember him saying, and then came down to America, and that's how Chelsea ended up being. But originally, yeah, her parents are from West Bromwich Albion, or West Brom, and the team's called West Bromwich Albion. Um, now, because Chelsea, the two boys were already little boys when we started shooting our show. So but he was being a dad, particularly to Owen, the youngest. He was probably 3.5, 4 when we started. I don't think he was
Oh
much.
yeah. He
Yeah,
was going through the
and he
same thing,
wouldn't sleep.
which
Yeah.
was, the kids
Were
that
you
don't.
pregnant with Ariana at that by the time we shot this
No,
episode?
no,
Not yet.
no, no. That was the end. That was the end of season 4 for us.
Right. It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, we did. It was nicely handled, and I thought the nipples growing on your wrist were a nice touch, and the fact that
Yeah.
you're covering them up with, a large, almost a verruca
Right.
plaster.
And I loved how just awful and dismissive the Klingons were about the
Ah,
whole.
Patak.
Yeah.
Apparently that means what you might think it might mean. Yeah,
Which
it's
is what?
it's a slur, and
Oh,
oh, piss off, you patak.
right, right.
Yeah, patak. Um, yeah, um, they were hilarious. The Klingons, God bless them. I know I'm going to make a lot of enemies
Do we
when I
know who
say.
that was?
No, I'd have to look that one up.
I always want to think that every Klingon that we ever dealt with was either JG or Bob, but I think we never ever
No,
were.
this was a different actor. God bless him. I'm
Right.
pretty sure. Yeah, and
And the guy
yeah.
who was the captain of the Alen's ship,
Hmm.
and I've never seen eyes that were so wide open.
Right. They were, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so funny
Uh,
to, as I said before, like I never saw Julianne. I never saw any of them outside of makeup because,
they must have been there at 4 in the morning.
oh yeah, they get there at 3:34 in the morning for a 6, 7 a.m. shoot, and by the time you get there, they're almost done.
Right. Yeah.
And I remember she had these two Siberian Huskies that she brought, or one.
Oh, she's a big dog person. That's right. She is. She still is. Yeah.
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 Um, no, but she was wonderful to work with. She was a great scene partner.
I bet. Yeah.
You
She
could
played it.
tell.
She played the sexuality of it with just the right,
Right.
zest.
Right.
And
You
she had
can't have
she did.
anything in those costumes.
that walk she had when you walk out of the holographic room, and she does something with her first step that is just like, yeah, I suddenly you just go, yeah,
I
that's
saw the same thing. I was like,
yeah,
yeah, there's a nice little dance move to like
yeah,
set it
very
off.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed these things. I was often told, by someone who encouraged me to do this as a profession, it's how you walk across the stage is one of the most important things you'll ever do.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's as much as anything else, your movement and your voice are
Right.
are really the tools you've got in your bag. And yeah, you can put a limp on, you can do this and that, the other, you can do all sorts of other sort of little business tricks, but those are the two main. And she did it very well, very nice. And yeah,
And
you're a big dog person.
Linda and Anthony must have done all sorts of things that week because they were hardly in that
No,
episode.
they weren't in it much. Yeah. And I think this episode for me was what was likely. I'd really cemented the idea that I was going to let Dominic come through. I think I saw that in the mess hall scene we had together.
Yeah.
That I wasn't going to play this just as some stuffy guy, just asking about the engineering, and that there would be intent behind his questioning, and
Yeah.
yeah, without being, as I say, smutty or something. It was comedic and fun.
Yeah, and I will also say that without really earning it in terms of our narrative, it was clear that we were already friends.
Yes, it was, wasn't it? That's what I got from watching it, that the chemistry was already there,
Yeah.
and as we know, they're looking for that, and then God bless them, off they went and wrote some more stuff for us.
Yeah.
What else about the episode? What do you think about Mike Vehar's? I mean, he hit the beats, didn't it? It was it
I'll tell
hit.
you something. What I felt about, and I always felt about Mike Behar's direction. Um, so when you're, as the actor, attempting to create this episode, um, it's very antiseptic to me. I mean, I always had an antiseptic relationship with him, not impersonal, but the way that he worked was so different from
Mm,
what I was used to or even expected. Again, because it would be like, we only need, a third of this page from a
right.
four-page scene. And that took some getting used to. I mean, it's all part of the process where you learn about, the process of filmmaking.
Yeah, there was one beat for you which was, I loved your performance throughout, mate. But there was one beat, and this is where someone like Mike Vehar is of no use to the actor. That you should have come in hard and fast with it, and I forget. I'd have to go back and look at the episode, and it's in the denial of what you did. I think it could have been in that scene after lunch,
Hmm.
when you needed to be sharp on the denial, and actually kind of not lose your temper with the captain and to Paul, and it would have been funnier. And
Yeah.
you still were pleading your case with it, rather, and that's where we barely got direction like that. Whereas if you or I had been directing an episode like that, that's what I'm looking for. Is
Exactly.
don't do it like that. Do it like
Right.
this.
Right. Yeah. Think
And
of this and play that
yeah,
versus
and we barely
uh,
got that.
versus Vehar's style, which was I'm literally looking at what's required for
Yeah,
me to cut easily
yeah.
to make an episode of television.
Yes. Not
Um,
especially looking at the performances at all,
no,
and not really. I mean, it
no.
was. I can't really remember any director coming up to me and saying, you might think about doing it like this. Or
LeVar.
LeVar, you agreed. I'll give you that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. LeVar would do that. He would walk in and go, "What do you want to do?"
right.
And then you'd do it. He'd go, "Great.
Hmm.
Let's
Have you thought
just
about this?
let's just tweak a couple of things. You're on the right track, but let's just tweak these things." He wasn't going for shot. he was going for scene
And storytelling. Yeah.
storytelling.
Yeah.
And again, as an actor, you have to have all these tools in your bag because, if you begin to work with someone who is working in one fashion or another, boy, you better show up to that.
Right.
Otherwise, you're not coming back.
Strangely enough, I mean, I spent, and I think you did too, but I spent a lot of time in the editing suite hoping to get a chance to direct. And one thing that JP Farrell said to me about LeVar was that he was really clever at not giving the editor choices that he didn't want them to have in the scene.
Really?
So you
Oh,
had to cut it the way he saw it. Yeah.
interesting.
And he said that of LeVar more than once. You see,
Really?
I can't do, he said, I wouldn't mind having this now, but I haven't got it
Can't
because
do it.
LeVar didn't give it to me. Isn't that
Interesting.
interesting? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
even though he was looking at performance in his mind's eye, he's already thinking about how this is going to
Cutting
come
it in his
together.
own head.
Yeah.
Right.
And when he goes in, it's like, no, well, that's what I wanted you to just see it from here, not
Right.
there. Yeah.
I'm
Um,
sure that editing a Mike Vehar episode was just one, two, three, go.
yeah, sure.
You know,
Yeah. He was
uh,
he was very workmanlike, very nice man.
I really
Uh,
enjoyed him. I mean,
yeah.
I don't want this to sound like criticism. It's just, you know, when you work, because as an actor, you're working for the director. You really are. The
Hmm.
director's in the seat, and they're looking at what you're doing and giving you adjustments, and um, they're just different dynamics. Alan Croker, very different from Mike Vehar.
Hmm.
LeVar Burton, very different. Robbie Duncan McNeil, different. And
Hmm.
Roxanne was cutting her teeth on our show. And, we were 4 episodes in, and you begin to learn a language for yourself about how to facilitate what you want to do. And I was just probably wasting his time.
I love the fact he went back to the old trailer and pulled a DiCaprio.
Oh, I was so
You
mad.
couldn't just have one whiskey sour.
You had to have 8.
Have eight. If you guys haven't seen it, it's Tarantino's The Hollywood Story, which is just it's
Once
his
Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Once
when
Upon a Time in Hollywood. Yeah.
DiCaprio goes in to play an episode of some Western show, and he's got a lot to say, and he messes up his first scene because he's had 8 whiskey sours the night before, and he
In the
goes to the
pool.
trailer after blowing his first scene
Brilliant scene.
and just kind of destroys his trailer. And I did something similar. I did.
Hilarious. No whiskey sours, just too much sandwich, uh,
Exactly. Right.
too much bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, we were ripped in those days, dude. Honestly,
No.
I spent this. It's been the Christmas period, and I spent basically 2 weeks clearing out my garage, which I didn't know I was a secret hoarder, but yeah,
I know.
I was a secret hoarder.
You kept
Uh,
everything.
I've kept everything. I'm not kidding, mate. I have found photographs. I should have to share some with you.
You should.
And fan stuff. I mean, just folders and folders of it. It's incredible.
Well, Dom, you texted me a photo of the back of the chair that said Dominic Keating.
Dominic Keating. That came about so that we have the offset chairs where we could sit and relax, when they're in setup, if it was a quick setup before, if we weren't going back to the trailer. Um, we'd had the read through Paramount where we all met for the first time at the offices there. We had the table read, and then Scott Bakula was going to go off to New York to do what's called the upfronts, which is the promotional little sort of tour for the shows coming on your network TVs that winter. I guess it would have been fall season. And when we were told that by Rick Berman, I muttered under my breath, "Oh God, he's probably going to call me Dominique," because that happens a lot. And sure, man, honestly, when our first day on set, there was my chair with Dominique Keating.
So funny.
Rick and Brandon had it made up. I thought I'd lost it, or I thought I'd sold it, it had gone anyway. The one that I thought I had, and then no, it was in a box stuffed up in the top of the rafters of the garage.
Well, tell me some of the other gems that you came across that you're going to keep.
Wow. I mean, there's pictures of us, man, at the Paramount premiere of the show with Kerry McCluggage and Jerry Ryan and I mean, just Brandon. We all look like just children. I mean,
Yeah.
it's extraordinary. What else did I find? I mean, I've just got, I mean, endless. I mean, stuff from I brought I was a bit of a scrapbooker of my career when I came over 30 years ago. And God bless the newspaper cuttings I kept from the reviews of the plays I did before I came over. They helped me get my green card, and I found that scrapbook.
Oh, great.
Oh, I've got pictures of the plays I was in, and with Tim Spall in something called Screamers at Edinburgh, with what's his name, Rupert Graves in a play called Pitchfork Disney, which was a big hit. And I mean, it just I'll have to I'll maybe I'll make a montage. Sarah, God bless her, she loves this. She's scrapbooking and filing at the as we go along.
That's wonderful. That's
It
great.
is. I mean, it's do you know, so that show Desmond's I did, I know we're going slightly off track here, but it's worth commenting. The woman that played the mother on Desmond's, that sitcom set in the West Indian barbershop, where I affectionately say I played the token honky.
You did.
Trendy Tony, who did all the modern cuts in the salon.
Right.
Carmen Munro has just been made a dame.
I don't know that.
Dame. I can actually say
Wow.
I know a dame. That is like the knighthood of for women,
Right.
for actors who are women. And she got in the honors list. Carmen Munro is now Dame Carmen, and I couldn't be more chuffed. I found out her agent's email address through the man that played her husband on that, Norman Beaton, who's since passed away. God bless Norman. His son I know here in LA, Will. He had one of his sons, and he got hold of Dulcie's email address at her agency, and I emailed and I got a return straight away. Not from Carmen yet. We'll see. I think she lives in Florida, but she's pushing 90 now. God bless.
Well, had she done a lot after Desmond's? I don't know her.
I don't. I'd have to look that up, mate. After I left, I lost touch with a lot of people that, from professionally speaking, and I know she made the money she made. She bought a house in Florida. She fancied living in the sun, and the house that Desmond's built. And she might have come back and done some things, but she was, as she was a groundbreaking black actor in a time when it was difficult. There was a handful of them, and they all came on Desmond's. God bless. I met them all in my day.
How does one wind up getting? I mean, are men and women knighted? It's the same thing.
Well, it's so yes. If you're a woman, I know we don't use the term actress anymore, but if you're an actor, actress, you get damed, you get damehood. And if you're an actor, male actor, then you get knighted. You become a knight.
You know what the process is to, it's, like, for instance, to get a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame,
right?
You have to be nominated.
Not quite the same, mate.
No, I know. I'm going to a point here. I believe me, I know. But to get that, you have to be nominated by like 2 or 3 people.
Right.
It goes through a process. In terms of like the knighthood,
you pay quite a lot of money too, as I think.
You can basically buy one.
You can buy one, but you do have to be nommed, and you've got to be somebody. Yeah.
Now, how does it work in England?
I imagine there's a committee through Buckingham Palace that proffers names to the honours list. It is it's now King Charles III's honours list, but for all my lifetime it was Elizabeth II's honours list. So yes, I'm sure names are presented, and yeah.
Can you apply for it?
I think you present what would be the word? You advocate, someone advocates on your behalf that you might be worthy of it. They gave one to David Beckham this year too.
Right.
He's now Sir David.
This is the long way to say that
And Stephen Fry, who I was at school with, has become a knight. Yeah, he's now Knight Sir
this is the
Stephen.
long way to go to say that, if there's someone who could nominate you, you were on Desmond's, you were on Enterprise.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll see. I didn't have a big enough career, I don't think, to
And I don't think I could
fight.
actually call you sir.
But I settled for an OBE. I mean, quite happily. My
What's that?
grandfather was an OBE, God bless. And my mum used to get totally pissed off because they started giving OBEs out to, celebrities, as it were. I remember the first year, God bless, and she was a lovely lady. I met her once or twice because some people I know here in LA knew her sister very well, Olivia Newton-John. But I do remember when Olivia Newton-John was given an OBE, my mother was mightily ticked off.
Was she?
Oh,
So
like,
OBE is Order of the
your
British
grandfather fought in 2 world wars. He was a
Empire.
brigadier general.
She was in Greece.
Yeah, she was exactly. So it became a different.
Order of the British Empire, correct?
Yeah. There's CBE, MBE, OBE, knighthood. I think those are the honors lists in entirety. Commander of the British Empire is slightly better than Order of the British Empire, and an MBE is underneath an OBE. I think it goes CBE, OBE, MBE.
But
So
it doesn't matter what capacity you served in for the British Empire.
no, it is, and some people, God bless, it's for charitable work, particularly you don't have to be famous, as it were, but if you've spent a lifetime, and raised a lot of money for a certain charity and given your life to that, you're going to be recognized for that. And
Yeah, well, I saw, basically, um, what's it called here? Is it the Medal of Freedom? The one,
yes, yeah.
and they made the list of this year's people, and like a third of them, I was like,
Who dat?
really?
Oh, really? Yeah, really. There was one name on this year's honors list that I was like, really?
Really?
Yeah, I'm not
Okay.
going to say who because it would be churlish. But
Right.
really,
Yeah.
they've done a couple of good episodes what, really? So
Exactly.
maybe there's hope for me yet, mate.
Yeah. You never
But
know.
hey, look, lest we forget, and I could get it out from underneath the desk here. I am a stamp, and I will always have that.
That's right.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, we've gone off track a little bit. I hope we haven't bored some people, but what else to say about our episode before we maybe wrap it up? I thought you were very good. It's really what I want to come to. You played the comedic aspect of it beautifully. You played the love scene, if you will, the meet cute, I think we can call it,
Right.
really well. And it was a great episode for you.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, it was a great episode for me, and I have to say that, and in my memory of working on it, because there was a comedic element to it, there was something so easy about it.
yeah, it relaxed you a bit. Yeah, I hear that. Now,
Yeah.
having said that, given that they didn't know that you maybe could do that, that you never auditioned with anything like that, did they?
Oh
Did you?
no,
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 well, I mean, I wonder whether they'd had that script or even an idea of that script when you met them. I shouldn't, maybe, probably not.
probably not.
And that's quite I mean, I have to tell you, they're taking some big swings with an actor, well, can he do this? I mean, because some people don't know how to do, to make something cute and funny.
Yeah, and as I said before, I mean, I was involved in the funny about trying to make it funnier.
Mm,
And I like, for instance, I think that the scene where the lift happens, uh,
mm,
we didn't get to do this very often, but there was, and this is early on, is that, I got to do some embellishment. And I was like, let me just try something.
hmm
And then Jan would call the office and they'd be like, well, okay. you know, um, and
Well, in that respect, they say comedy is a serious business, and that scene you played seriously. You
yeah,
were seriously put out of joint that this was a death trap for a small person. And what
Yeah,
was the name of the guy began with D? I forget his name. He was his one his struck face.
right.
What person, sir?
Yeah.
It was great.
And the dinner scene too, there was a certain amount of embellishment in that, with the Doctor and Archer, um, before they go see the Klingons. Yeah, I don't think they knew, and we didn't do this much more after that either. We didn't do a lot of funny stuff. I mean, I can think of, 2 days and 2 nights.
Right.
I can't think of many more. I mean, there were moments, but there were no real thematically comedic
Right.
episodes that we did. Um,
No, it was a big swing. I mean, for episode 4 to have, one of the lead, top three get, a male actor, a male character get pregnant was, yeah. And as I say, it's not to, bang on, but it could have come across horribly dated. And they
oh,
could have made some real, trod in some real nasty stuff, and they didn't. And
it could have been
hats off.
offensive.
Yeah, it could have been offensive. And hats off to them. They did it well. It
They
was,
did.
I think, yeah, it was a good episode.
Yeah, it was a great deal of fun. It was, it's funny going back to see these. Every now and then I'll find one on TV late at night. But I don't rewatch our show. I never have. Um,
I did for, the first time we came together to do this sort of stuff. I'd never seen it all, and
agreed.
what happened was I used to go home to England, and it was those days it would be off the air in England because it wouldn't have started, and then by the time I got back to LA to start the new season, it was off the air here, and so I missed it, and yeah, I missed a lot of it. So it was very it's been very educational to and see overall we were pretty good, I have to
Yeah.
say.
I
You
have
know.
to say though, to be honest, it's a little hard to see how great looking I was at about 34 years old.
Prime. I mean, absolutely prime. We all were particularly, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, most people on telly, God bless, you're 22 to maybe 40.
Yeah.
And they didn't know I don't think they knew I've always looked a little younger than my years.
Do you
Uh,
mind saying how old you were when you started the show?
yeah, no, I was 38.
Hmm.
And I was in my early 40s by the time we finished.
Right.
And yeah, I think they thought I think they probably thought you were 28 to 30, and I think they thought I was about 33, 34, something like that.
Yeah. And I was 32, I think.
You were 32, right?
Yeah.
So, um, but we all look like kids, honestly. There's pictures of other stuff I found in the garage, pictures of us at Brannan's parties.
Yeah.
Um,
You've got to bring them out. I would love to
I'll
see.
have to bring them in. There's Dr. Ron and there's you, me, Noah Tishby, and I keep forgetting the girl's name. I was so friendly with her for a while.
Blonde
Something
girl.
the blonde girl, Aga. It's killing me. Something Aga
Nikita.
and
Nikita Ager. Nikita.
Nikita Aga,
Yeah.
and well done. And there's a picture of you, me, Noah Tishby, and Dr. Ron at one of Brannan's parties, and we just look like just kids. I mean, really, and to think, I know Nikita's had a child, I think, and that's what
Yeah.
she went and did. Much like Julianne Christie, I think she did it.
On
I,
her own.
I don't know that she stayed with someone to do it. I think, don't know for fact. Um, and Noah, of course, just blew up with her book. What you don't know about Israel and the
Yeah, she's the voice of a generation.
a generation. No kidding. I dare say we're going to see a lot more of her in Israeli politics as the next decade rolls by.
Oh, I'm certain.
I
Yeah,
wouldn't be
I mean,
surprised.
we'd see her every now and then at the Hollywood Y.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah. God bless, man. I mean, it's halcyon days. They really were. I mean,
Yeah.
and just our time at Paramount. There's a picture of me and Kerry McCluggage too. It's like,
Really?
Yeah, I mean, like we were mates.
And he was only around for a good 6, 8 months, wasn't he? I mean, he wasn't,
Maybe a bit longer.
was it?
I'm trying to think. Maybe the first year and a half.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it was when by the time the Les Moonves had been put in charge, and he put Dawn Ostroff as his woman in charge of UPN, and that's when Rick started getting notes, and there was no one at Paramount to feel that and help. Yeah,
But I will say, as Warren Zevon says, Carrie McCluggage hair was
it was a thing of beauty. Even this
his
in this
hair was
photo,
perfect.
and that's all he's hit the notes he'd only ever give was about the hair.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, it was
right. It's funny.
jokingly it was called Hair Trek.
Yeah,
Yeah, bless. Yeah,
but that was lovely.
I had good hair in those days too. It was
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, you still have good hair. You just have a lot
Not
more.
bad. It's look. I mean, look, we're old blokes now, mate. And we try and stave off the aging process, but it's unavoidable, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, this
Yeah,
mortal coil
I
comes
want
eventually.
I want some of that substance that Demi. God bless Demi Moore. She won last night. The Golden Globes we're talking about.
Yeah, Did you have you seen that
I have
movie?
seen it.
Yeah.
It's a bonkers film, and but she's very brave in it,
Hmm.
and very good. Um, I thought um, I'm struggling for her name. The girl who stars in Sean Baker's movie,
Honora,
Honora, Mindy.
Mikey.
Madison,
Yes.
Mikey Madison. I thought that film got no love last night at the Golden Globes, and I hope the Academy is a bit more sensible.
I
It's.
wonder, I mean, we should talk about this after off screen. I have questions about it.
Did you see it?
Yeah,
You did.
yeah.
Did
Um,
what was your feeling?
I thought it was good. Um, so when I
Did you not
stopped,
laugh your ass off and then have
no,
your heart out?
it was funny. There were
Yeah.
great funny moments. I will say that I thought her Long Island accent was just all over the place, which
Oh,
got in my
well,
way.
apparently I don't know specific, but it's an enclave, a little enclave of Coney Island that is especially unique. It's not just the Long Island accent. It's particularly this little enclave where a lot of Russians live out at Coney Island, which is
Well, I just felt like it would be strong and light at different times. At any
right.
rate, really my issue with the movie is um when because you look at it this way, stripper meets guy's got ton of money, invites stripper to come in, pays her, and then after a week they decide to get married, and then the rest of the movie unfolds. And then, not to give anything away from you, people who haven't seen it, but they pay her 10,000 more dollars to go find this guy. In the meantime, she's still professing great love. And that I had a problem with. I had a problem with that. I was like, this just, listen, I get if you're going for your 10 grand and you want to find him, but some of these scenes near the end of the film where that scene like in the plane where he's sort of like, yeah, it's over. What are you talking about? But it doesn't
Mm.
end for her. She continues to feel this week-long marriage had gravitas that I didn't buy. That was my problem.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to. I didn't. I, I didn't see those jangly moments, to be honest. When I went to see it, and I thought. I thought the boy that played the oligarch's son was just amazing.
Oh, perfectly annoying.
I mean, just brilliant. And then the henchmen that show up were all fantastic.
Oh,
Igor, I
fantastic.
mean, I saw the Igor love coming early,
Yeah,
and I thought he played it beautifully, and he was nommed last
he was
night.
nominated as well. He
Really
was
happy for him.
wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. And
Anyway,
also, the guy, I thought the guy who got his nose broken was like, I thought he was going to die after
he
he
was
threw
brilliant.
the
I mean, come on. I mean, it was a farce halfway through the film, and it was so beautifully played. Uh,
Agreed.
the
Agreed.
Armenian actor that played the lead henchman, he's worked with Sean Baker before a couple of times.
Oh,
It's brilliant.
the priest, the
Yeah, it's just
yeah,
brilliant. I mean, that
really.
scene when he leaves the church, I don't know.
Sorry,
I just I thought it was the best film I saw this year. I loved Conclave a lot,
I've not seen Conclave.
and it's worth seeing. And Amelia Perez is really good. It's unique, and it's certainly worthy of a note. But yeah, for me, Honora was. I think we're going to see a lot more from Mr. Baker. He's
Oh,
done a
sure.
few good things. I saw, the Florida Project, and he did a movie here on Hollywood Boulevard with his iPhone. Maybe it's got to be about 10 years ago now,
Was that
called
Tangerine?
Tangerine. Yeah,
Yeah.
which is really good.
I thought, but I haven't seen it yet. The Adrian Brody film.
I saw The Brutalist. Yeah,
Oh,
I didn't see it on a big screen. I will have to admit, I saw it here because I'm a BAFTA member. I get the entry to see these things.
right.
It's a great film. It's a fantastic performance. I was surprised that it won so big last night, but I am told I think it would look amazing on a big screen. I think you would be um, drawn into the film a lot
It's
more.
playing at the Vista Theater, which does.
Yes, I would be I would go and see it there, mate. I would. And I'd love to go to the Vista. It's Tarantino's taken it over, as you know,
Yeah,
and a
yeah.
refurb.
I've been there for years. But
And it's a
apparently he turned a 35 millimeter camera on its side and was able to
to
create.
make a big screen, as it were. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Does
you know,
it cost? They made
Mm.
this movie for nothing.
Well, yes, he did, and 7 years of hard, bloody work.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I did love was the Latvian boy, young man. I met him because I went to see the screening of Flow, the animated film about the cat, which won last night. Which it was just amazing, and this was made on a shoestring. And it was just absolutely spellbinding, this film Flow. I can't tell you. And then I met him after. He's such a nice young man, and again, just labor of love. And it's the first time a Latvian film's ever been nominated for anything, and it won last night. So
Wow.
God bless
My
him.
money, I will say I don't think it was a great year for films.
It's not been the not the no. I agreed. Not
Yeah,
not
I
one of
think
the exceptionals.
I thought that Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan was
Did very good.
extraordinary.
Yeah, he's a talent, isn't he? He really
Oh,
is. There doesn't seem to be much he can't do.
no.
I
And
mean,
you
last
look at him and you're
Christmas
like, you're passing by in a bar and be like, oh, nobody. But
he can turn it on.
he has
And
it.
that Willy Wonka movie he did last Christmas, he was brilliant in it. And he's song and dance man.
Yeah.
And he sang all the songs for Dylan. And I think he must play guitar. I mean, it's
Well, apparently the film had been set for production pre-pandemic. And
right,
so he had all this time because it couldn't get done
right,
until now that he had all this time to really sort of, just let that seep in.
right. Well, yeah, he's a big talent. He's going to do some good stuff. He's still a kid. God bless him.
15 years old.
Yeah, I know. But everything he's ever done, whether it's he had that small part in Don't Look Up, but he just nailed it.
Yep.
As her would-be lover, and
Right.
yeah, he inhabits. He's got it. And Dune. I mean, he there's not a frame of that film he's not in that he doesn't hold your attention at all times. And
Right. Call Me by My Name. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
No, he's extraordinary.
Not my favorite, that film, I have to say.
No,
I know, I know, I know. There was that scene where they're at home and they're reading Proust in the French, lying around on each other's. Like, oh, shut up.
right, exactly. Do
Reading Proust in the French.
you want a Madeline? Do you want a
You
Madeline?
wankers. Anyway, we've babbled on too much,
Yeah.
far too long, not talking about Star Trek, but I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we have. And please vote for me.
Yeah. It was fun to watch. It was fun to
It really was. It was a great episode. And next week I think, is LeVar Burton's first episode, Terra Nova,
oh,
the underground people. Yeah,
yeah,
that'll be our next one, and look forward to it. So,
excellent.
God bless you. We'll see you
Yeah.
soon.
All right. Love you.